This time of the year, August, the league slows down in terms of the business off the ice, but we still have those strong memories of what we saw in the playoffs. I want to ask you, all time, with your frame of reference, decades, can you think about a performance from a player who didn't win the cup that stands out in your mind?
Oh, my God, you're just throwing this at me right now. Not really. When I'm thinking of the cup, I'm only thinking of the guys that win the cup.
Sure.
Because the ones that don't win the cup, you sort of, no matter how good they are,
the harsh truth.
Fall by the wayside. But once you mention that, you can think of the Draisaitls and McDavid.
That's where I was going. Beautiful.
And this is, like McDavid getting a record number of points, or
over
it was
40.
Over 40 anyway. So that's something that you don't see very often. If people get in the 30s, usually they're cup champions. But those two guys are pretty special, and I think the memory of them going to a 7th game will last until they win the cup. Anyway.
I agree with you 100%. Now, on the topic of Leon Draisaitl, Stan Bowman with this, and we get the whole quote. Extension talks with Leon Draisaitl. I had a good conversation with Draisaitl's agent, Mike Liut, and we're starting things off, and the timing on that will be what it will be. I don't have an update of where it's going to be or the timing on that, but there is nothing negative to report, certainly. Derek Van Diest joining us to talk about this. Getting close to Leon Draisaitl, we admire these guys from afar, but then seeing what he did in the playoffs when he was less than 100%, absolutely dazzling. I know there's a lot of sentiment along those same lines. What else did Bowman have to say about Draisaitl?
Well, he basically said that he wants Leon Draisaitl to be an Oiler for life, and that's his goal coming in here. That's his goal for his negotiations. He wants Leon Draisaitl to stay a member of the Edmonton Oilers. He's going into the final year of his contract right now, and so negotiations are ongoing. Stan Bowman was just hired a couple of weeks ago by the Edmonton Oilers, and his job is to speak with Mike Liut, is to speak with Draisaitl's representatives and try and get a contract extension beyond this season. And then he's going to have to do it all over again with Connor McDavid next season. But he admitted to me that we had a great conversation yesterday. I'm here at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup, where the next generation of young players are showcasing themselves. And we had a great conversation yesterday. And he said to me, listen, if we want to keep this window open, this championship window open for Edmonton, those two guys have to be a part of it. Those two guys have to be pillars of it, kind of like Taves and Kane were when he was in Chicago. So that's what he has to do. He knows that in order for the Oilers to compete for the Stanley Cup on a yearly basis, those two guys have to be a big part of it. And it starts with signing Leon Draisaitl. And I think they want to get this done before the season starts. I think they don't want this to linger throughout the season. He doesn't want to do questions about it. He doesn't want to get asked every time he does an immediate availability, what's going on with Leon Draisaitl. So I think both sides would like to get this done sooner than later. Then they can just focus on hockey, because the Oilers did load up this summer looking to make another run at the Stanley Cup.
There's no denying the value of those two guys, Draisaitl, McDavid. We saw it play out in that playoff run. How does this next offseason, which is coming up down the road, how does all this affect Connor McDavid and his contract situation?
Yeah, it does. And I think it affects in the sense that Connor McDavid is going to be the highest paid player in hockey history in his next contract. I think he's a guy that deserves it. He's a guy that's proven he's a superstar. So he's going to be the highest paid player. And I think the domino will fall with where they sign Draisaitl, because you can't just pay those two guys absorbent amount of money and not put a team around him. And I think that's what Stan Bowman said to me as well. It's like, we need to put guys around this team. It's just not two guys. We need to kind of surround them with talented players. But I think that will play. If Leon Draisaitl is here for a long time and Connor McDavid knows, hey, my sidekick is going to be here for a long time, you can expect Connor McDavid to sign here for a long time. The management here in Edmonton both wants them here for the entire careers. They want the dynamic duo, as they're called here at Edmonton, together. And they think as long as they stay together, they will extend that window. But yeah, I think a lot will depend on where Leon signs, how long his term is when you come to the negotiations next year for Connor McDavid, because Connor McDavid will become the highest paid player in probably National League history when his contract is up in 2 seasons.
And deserves it so much. Being in Edmonton, seeing what it was like during the Cup final, pressure is a privilege. There's a lot of pressure in that market because there's so much passion. How much pressure do you think there is on McDavid and Draisaitl to win a cup for Edmonton?
Well, I think there's a lot of pressure on him. There's a lot of pressure not only in Edmonton, but Canada. Canada hasn't won a Stanley Cup. Canadian team hasn't won a Stanley Cup in so long. So I think the pressure is there. And I think part of it is that. But if you ask Connor McDavid, if you ask Leon Draisaitl, regardless of the outside pressures of them to perform, I think they put more pressure on themselves to perform. I think the pressure is internal. So when it comes to them performing, you see it the way they practice, the way they play. They want to be the best. They want to win that cup. And it's obviously they want to win it for themselves. And the market's going to obviously rejoice that the playoff drive was unbelievable here this year. People had so much fun. And they're kind of preparing for another one with the roster moves that they made. But yeah, I think there is pressure on him because it's going to be what's Connor McDavid's legacy going to be? He's going to be considered one of the greatest players in the NHL never to win the Stanley Cup, or is he going to be able to cement that legacy by winning the Stanley Cup? And he's won every trophy there is to win individually, including the Conn Smythe. And so, but now he just needs that big team trophy to kind of really cement his place in the history of the game as one of the game's all-time best players.
Understood. Derek Van Diest, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
I turn to you, Bruce. We watched it unfold. We saw it up close. Leon Draisaitl wasn't right physically, didn't say boo about it. Compromised physically, played through it, mind of a champion, total package. From your vantage point, how special is this guy? And then how vital is it to bring him back and pay him what he's worth?
Well, first of all, he's done it for 2 years.
Yep.
In the playoffs. It wasn't just a one-off there. I mean, he had an injured ankle the year before. And, I mean, if anybody's had a high ankle sprain and you want to know how difficult that is, that's incredibly difficult. So, of course, he's right there. And every time Connor McDavid has gone down, Leon Draisaitl has stepped it up and became the best player in the world. So, I mean, it's to get those two guys signed, and especially him this year, I mean, I think it would show the Edmonton fan base, which is never going to go away, that you know, hey, we're here to win it. And I mean, if they could do it before the start of camp to say, hey, listen, we signed this guy, and we will sign the other guy. Don't worry about it. And I mean, but it's up to you guys to do the job. And I think they'll get it done. And I don't know what the number will be, but I'm sure if they both have an idea where it's going to go, it shouldn't take too long to get it done.
It's remarkable when you get up close to them and you see there's no envy, there's no jealousy. These guys are both pointed in that exact same direction, having both won the league MVP. It's special. Hockey, obviously, the ultimate team sport. You only have so many slices of the pie. So take a look at this. We were discussing this before the show. Notable AAVs based on cap percentage. When we talk about McDavid and we look at him alongside some of the other luminaries, and we think about Draisaitl as well, what about that percentage? Understanding that they may have to leave money on the table, or do they, considering the welfare of the team and how much these guys are worth on the open market?
I mean, I wouldn't leave any money on the table. I'd go to win it. Like, I mean, and 5 years down the road, I've seen so many general managers get rid of players that everybody thought that they couldn't get rid of. I mean, but I mean, if you've got that window to win the cup, you do whatever you can to win it. Because when you think about it, if every team felt that way, every team should win once every 32 years.
Right.
And that doesn't happen. So you get that opportunity, especially with these two guys at the height of their career. You've got to do what you can to sign them and put them in a spot to win. And I think the Oilers have done that this summer. I mean, heck, they went to Game 7 last year in the Stanley Cup Final. The year before, Florida went to Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final, and they came back and won it. I think this team is better than the start of last year's team, and I think they got a really good chance of going out and winning it. I mean, signing Leon is a major portion of it.
Starting the season last year, 2-9-1, all the more impressive that they did what they did. Understanding the pressure involved in a Canadian market, as Derek was talking about, no cups for Canadian franchises since 1993. The pressure, the privilege of playing in a Canadian market, you were there in Vancouver. How do you put that into context for fans in the U.S. that may not understand it?
Well, I mean, if you put it into context, you look at the living in the Bronx and you know, and the Yankees are there, or living in Dallas with the Cowboys, or Kansas City with the Chiefs, and so forth. The Celtics in Boston, like, I mean, that's what it's like.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's there, it's constant. But the biggest thing there is all those cities I said are big cities. Edmonton's a small city. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven bathroom without seeing somebody that you know is going to be waiting for you to come outside and saying, "Hey, listen, can I have your autograph?" So I mean, the pressure is on. They put pressure on themselves, and it's funny, you know, we're talking about those two guys. They were a friend of mine phoned me and said their son was playing in a summer hockey game just a week ago against both of them. So they're already back on the ice. Of course. They're already skating and getting ready for the season. So I'm not worried about those two guys in Edmonton.